Tonight, a solemn day in Worcester. A community mourns the loss of a city firefighter. Plus, a Paxton man is now facing a murder charge in the death of his brother. The new details we are learning this evening. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. A community is paying its respects to a fallen hero tonight. Worcester firefighter Christopher Roy died after battling a multi-alarm fire early Sunday morning. The 36-year-old was rushed to the hospital, but his injuries were too severe. Our Roslyn Flaherty joins us live now with more on how he's being honored. Roslyn?
Olivia, it's been a very difficult 36 hours for Worcester and the entire state as people mourn the loss of firefighter Christopher Roy. If you take a look behind me, you can see a memorial is growing at the Webster Square Fire Station from people paying their respects to a fallen hero. Somber moments Monday morning as Worcester Fire and police escort the body of firefighter Christopher Roy to the medical examiner's office in Boston. The 36-year-old died Sunday morning while battling a 5-alarm fire at this Lowell Street apartment home. Roy was among a group of firefighters trapped on the second floor.
Every person on the fire ground gave 110% to try and rescue the firefighters who were in danger.
Firefighter Roy leaves behind a young daughter. He was a 2.5-year veteran of the department.
All Worcester's hurting today. Our hearts are breaking.
Roy served on Ladder 4 at Webster Square Fire Station. It has become a memorial site. People from all over the state and of all ages came to pay their respects, including 2.5-year-old Sammy, who salutes dressed as a firefighter.
He know a lot of firemen. He know a lot of them. We come by salute.
Retired Boston firefighter Daryl Smith stopped by to salute Ladder 4. He says the firefighter brotherhood is like no other.
It's like losing a family member, so any loss of one firefighter is a family loss.
The tragedy comes one day after the 7-year anniversary of Worcester firefighter John Davies' death, and 19 years since 6 Worcester firefighters died battling a warehouse fire. People in Worcester are left with heavy hearts, remembering those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
We've had enough. We don't need any more firefighters to pass.
Now his body came back from the medical examiner's office this afternoon and passed right by this fire station. The entire street was lined with his fellow firefighters. Live in Worcester, Roslyn Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
All right, thank you, Roslyn. And tributes to firefighter Christopher Roy continue across the state today. A procession brought his body from Worcester to the chief medical examiner in Boston. First responders lined the streets as a sign of respect and honor to a fallen brother. A similar scene as a hearse took Roy from the medical examiner's office in Boston to the funeral home back in Worcester. We are also learning more about funeral arrangements. Calling hours will be held at St. John's Catholic Church in Worcester on Friday from 4 to 8 p.m. The funeral service will be held at the same church on Saturday at 10 a.m. Immediately following the ceremony, Roy will be buried at Notre Dame Cemetery. Meanwhile, a memorial fund has been established by Worcester Firefighters IAFF Local 1009 in the name of firefighter Roy's young daughter, Ava. Checks may be made payable to the Ava Roy Fund and mailed directly to the Worcester Fire Department Credit Union. Memorials and fundraisers are growing not only for Roy's family, but the families displaced from the apartment building on Lowell Street. Many of those impacted were students in the Worcester Public Schools, and one local organization is working to make sure they have more than just the clothes on their backs. Our Gretchen LaRosa has the story.
It's a tragedy for not only the city, the community, the firefighters themselves. Can't say it without crying, so it's just devastating.
Donations are pouring in at South High for the victims of the Lowell Street fire. Student volunteers are doing all they can to help families who lost their homes and were impacted by the tragedy.
It's a lot more bags than we expected, but it's awesome to be able to have this opportunity to give back and to help those in need.
The Worcester Fire Department lost one of their own fighting the fire, 36-year-old Christopher Roy of Shrewsbury. The fire also displaced families with children, some of them South High students.
And when we found out it was students from South High and Sullivan, our first reaction was to make sure that we had enough clothes and different things for them to be able to survive.
The students who volunteer at Andy's Attic at South High are taking the donations. Andy's Attic is a non-profit organization created in memory of Andrew Reese, who died in a car accident in 2010. A Facebook post went up hours after the fire on Sunday, and within 24 hours, donations have flooded the halls of South High.
They said this will help their cause with the fire because they're overwhelmed. There's 21 school-age children that were displaced with the fire, and we had a woman make a whole bin of homemade hats and everything else. So there's a lot of good things that are going to go around.
Students sorted out and put the donated items on their shelves. They filled orders, wrote thank you cards, and made phone calls to organizations to let them know the orders were ready for pickup. More bags than usual were stuffed and ready to be sent out today.
Today we've received so many amazing donations to fulfill those dreams of giving back to those families.
The multifamily home on Lowell Street has 6 apartments in the building. The Red Cross of Central Massachusetts said they're assisting a dozen people displaced by this fire. There will be several fundraisers in the next couple of days. Every bit of community donation helps. Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
Thank you, Gretchen. Switching gears now, a Paxton man is arraigned on new charges today. He's accused of attacking his family with a hammer and killing his younger brother. He is now being charged with murder. Our Chandler Walsh was in court today and joins us now with the details. Chandler?
Olivia, police say a neighbor reported Alexander Asia tried to kill everyone in his home with a hammer. He was scheduled for a dangerousness hearing on assault and battery charges today. Instead, he was arraigned on a murder charge. Alexander Asia is charged with the murder of his younger brother, Innocent Asia. New court documents reveal autopsy results showing the Paxton man died from blunt force trauma to his head, allegedly from a hammer.
I hope he'll be brought to justice. He deserves to be brought to justice.
Police responded to the Asia family home on Monticello Drive after a 911 call. They say when they arrived, Alexander was washing up in the bathroom and 23-year-old Innocent was unresponsive and bloody.
For this neighborhood, it's really shocking.
According to court documents, the 24-year-old admitted to striking his brother and mother Letitia Asia in the head with a hammer multiple times. His mother suffered severe injuries and was taken to a local hospital.
It's alleged on December 2nd that he attacked and killed his brother in their home.
Asia's attorney says he's lived in the home for about 4 years.
So he has very strong ties to the community.
Neighbor Bob Fantelli passes the Asia home on his daily walks. He says he noticed something had started to seem different with the family.
2 young ladies that were college age that would sometimes come out in their cars. I hadn't seen them for maybe a couple of months, and I just got the feeling something was different in there.
Asia is being held without bail on the murder charge. His case will continue in late January. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Turning our attention to the weather now, we are expected to see cold temperatures tonight, but it looks like we may be in the clear of snow. Here's meteorologist Chris Gloninger with more.
I'm meteorologist Chris Gloninger, stuck with this cold pattern in place, but if you don't like snow, this has been a great pattern for us because it kept all of the snow down to places that usually don't see snow this early in the season, like North and South Carolina, parts of Georgia, into Virginia as well. This pattern changes. We have a ridge building across the East Coast. A little too far east to go, sunny and mild conditions. It's kind of right overhead. So this area of low pressure that develops will move up the East Coast, cutting to our left, which means we are on the warm side of it. And that should give us rain, not snow, as we go into next weekend. Tonight, it's all about the cold. 15, the expected low temperature, 33 by the afternoon. Tomorrow under sunny skies. Coming up in your 10-day forecast, we'll talk much more about the rain forecast to head our way.
We now know the name of a 19-year-old Leominster woman who was killed in a hit-and-run on I-190 in West Boylston. State police say Marilyn Pamela Reyes crashed off the side of the highway early Sunday morning. They say Reyes got out of her car and walked onto the interstate. She was hit by a vehicle, and police say the driver kept going. She was struck again by a second vehicle, but that driver did stop. State police are still working to find the first driver. Today, the trial begins for a man accused of murdering an armored truck guard in Worcester nearly 30 years ago. Prosecutors say 82-year-old Ralph Demasi killed Edward Morlock during an armed robbery back in 1991. Prosecutors say 52-year-old Morlock was carrying bags of money from a Shaw supermarket when he was gunned down. Demasi was first indicted in 2016. He pled not guilty. A special performance at Veterans Inc. in Worcester gives veterans a chance to meet soldier musicians. 6-string soldiers perform all over the country. The acoustic group from the U.S. Army's Field Band entertained at the nonprofit on Grove Street Monday. The goal of the band is to strengthen the relationship between Army and civilians, but members say being able to perform for veterans is special.
The Army has made a commitment to its veterans, and this is our way of investing time in our veterans and giving thanks for all the sacrifices that they've made. And this is a really unique way to do it in a place like this, and it's a great honor for us to come and be at Veterans Inc.
And the band is based out of Maryland and made up of 4 members. DPW crews are repairing a massive water main break in Worcester. The hole opened up overnight on West Boylston Street at the intersection with Millbrook Street. Worcester's DPW says the repairs require removal of old trolley rails and is expected to continue throughout today and into tomorrow. The ramp from I-190 South to West Boylston Street is also closed until Tuesday. Plastic shopping bags may soon become a thing of the past in Worcester. City Manager Edward Augustus is recommending to the City Council a draft ordinance banning lightweight single-use plastic checkout bags. It would also prohibit any retailer, large or small, from providing the disposable bags to their customer. Reusable bags, recyclable paper bags, or compostable plastic bags would be used instead.